5,500 have due dates this month, meaning every day 180 women are going into labor with no options of hospitals to deliver at safely.
Killing children is a crime.
Killing children is a crime.
Bombing churches is a crime.
Bombing churches is a crime.
Bombing schools is a crime.
Bombing schools is a crime.
Bombing hospitals is a crime.
Bombing hospitals is a crime.
So free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. On the 7th, we attended a rally by New Haven medical professionals standing across from the entrance to Yale New Haven Hospital, talking about the terrible conditions for doctors, nurses, and patients in the hospitals of Gaza, and the indifference of Yale New Haven Hospital's administrators to what's going on.
Palestinian healthcare workers have taken on the unimaginable work of caring for a community that has been devastated by daily military strikes and the scarcity of food, water, electricity, and fuel. Under the Geneva Conventions, hospitals must be protected and may not be attacked under any circumstances. We unequivocally condemn the absolute betrayal of medical ethics that we have seen in Gaza. Since October 7th, 14 out of 35 hospitals with inpatient capacities have stopped functioning. 71% of all primary care facilities across Gaza have shut down due to damage or lack of fuel. Israel has issued evacuation orders to at least 23 hospitals in Gaza, which the World Health Organization calls a death sentence for the sick and injured.
I am going to be reading a statement on behalf of one of our organizers today. This person did not feel comfortable reading this statement themselves because of the hostile environment that Yale and YNHH has created for its students and its employees. Salam. I am a Palestinian American working at the School of Medicine, and I wish I could share my whole story with everyone in person. Unfortunately, the space and culture that is tolerated here continues a pattern of censorship and suppression of speech. However, I feel that it is important to have at least parts of my story shared. I grew up in the West Bank and have traveled around different cities in Palestine. I remember having to cross several checkpoints when having to visit my aunt and cousins, and I remember seeing military personnel out of my bedroom window raiding residential buildings in my neighborhood to arrest and kidnap people in the middle of the night. But this part of my story is actually not about me. This is about the experience of healthcare workers in Palestine to be shared to all of you, the healthcare workers for Palestine. I have witnessed firsthand what healthcare workers have to endure in order to fulfill their duty. My parents were clinicians, and my dad would go do surgeries in different cities. A large reason for his travel was to reduce the travel burden on the sick patients and their families, despite risking his own life in the process of getting there. You see, one of the things about having an apartheid system is that there are different roads built within the West Bank for use by Palestinians versus roads that are used for settlers only. It's very well known that if you do not know your way and take a wrong turn where you end up in a settlement road, you can get physically attacked or killed. Even once he's made it to the hospital in Ramallah, Nablus, Bethlehem, or elsewhere, there would often be times where his patients from smaller towns and villages would not be able to make it. Villages and rural communities in the West Bank often experience the most frequent violence and terrorization from the settlers. Settlers that are often accompanied and protected by the military. A military that has continuously testified that their orders are to protect the settlers and nothing else. Even when a patient makes it to the hospital, there is no guarantee that the hospital won't get raided and attacked. Just last night, the Israeli army had raided Ibn Sina Hospital in Jenin, enforcing a siege and asking all medical staff to exit the hospital. 2 medics refused, and they were subsequently arrested. There is absolutely no dignity or respect provided to anyone there. a patient makes it and receives care but needs a more complex surgery, they need to travel to get a special permit from Israel to travel to either Israel, Egypt, or Jordan to get treatment. And often they have severe limitations on having accompanying family members, with many patients being denied travel altogether. The reason patients often need treatment elsewhere is because all medical tools and equipment are imported via Israel, and thus they control how much help the medical field can provide. For instance, there is no PET-CT services available in any Palestinian hospital in Gaza or the West Bank. We are also seeing this control in Gaza simply by deciding what aid comes in and out on the trucks, deciding when to shut the necessities of life on or off. The added burden of communications blackout has rendered ambulances ineffective since they can't get communication on where the injured citizens are. I know we are gathered here today to call for a ceasefire and an end to the massacre and humanitarian crisis happening in Gaza. The atrocities and massacres in Gaza are absolutely horrific, vile, and nothing short of inhumane. And I hope that people can keep seeing what's happening there and understanding it in the greater context of the apartheid and the occupation that has become all too commonplace for Palestinians living there. All of the issues I have brought up had existed long before October 7th. While Zionists make it sound like the whole world has stopped since October 7th and nothing else matters, it has certainly gotten much, much worse for Palestinians everywhere. We already see the footage of mass graves being dug in the Shifa hospital yard, while hundreds of thousands that have been displaced are on the brink of famine and public health crises. Surgeons and doctors have triaged everyone into a life or death category, where only those that would die without surgery would get it, effectively rendering many with serious injuries to the heads and internal bleedings without any treatment. In the West Bank, doctors can no longer travel and see their patients or follow up on them. Roads are completely closed and most people are having to delay treatment. Many doctors have to now travel via an ambulance for their safety, a luxury that is not always guaranteed or can be afforded. Even when passing through roads with the ambulance, many of the roads are physically blocked with cement blocks or destroyed to prevent cars from going on. This has effectively rendered any businesses and livelihood on those roads obsolete, while also denying the time it takes for proper medical care to arrive when needed. I appreciate every single one of you for speaking out on behalf of those of us who have felt ignored, deserted, and dismissed by the utter silence and lack of support from those in positions of power. How could expressing support for medical staff everywhere around the world become such a divisive ask? Institutions like Yale and beyond always brag about being global leaders, yet there is nothing global about ignoring half of the world. These barbaric acts against medical staff and patients, including babies in incubators, deserve more than silence. As healthcare workers and as people who have devoted their lives to helping others, we must speak up. Is it too much to ask for equal treatment and support to the Palestinian people so that we may live in safety and with dignity? Staying silent is staying complicit, and it's shameful that we have to speak this loud so you can hear us when we say, "Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free Palestine! Ceasefire now! 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 Ceasefire now!
I am here today speaking as an Afghan-American nurse and soon-to-be midwife. I have been there to ensure your safe deliveries and advocate for your sisters, mothers, daughters, or friends in their births. I have cried with you through your losses and pains of pregnancy and then the difficulty of your postpartum periods. I am here as one of many healthcare workers to speak on the injustice that weighs heavy on our hearts as we care for you. At this moment in time, 50,000 women are pregnant in Gaza. 5,500 have due dates this month, meaning every day 180 women are going into labor with no options of hospitals to deliver at safely. Where are they to go when there is no anesthesia for their required and emergency C-sections? Where are they to go when they know their premature babies relying on neonatal care will die because hospitals do not have the resources to sustain them? Where are they to go when they have contractions but Israeli air missiles strike around them and they have to choose between leaving their families or risk never seeing them again? I cry in between patients when I see mothers have safe skin to skin with their newborns because I think of the babies whose cheeks will never rest on their mother's warm chest. I cry when I hold my patients' hands through C-sections, thinking of the indescribable pain and suffering that Palestinian mothers are enduring in Gaza without numbing medication for their surgeries. I cry when I see mothers in NICU hold their small premature babies through the incubators because I think of the 39 babies at Al-Shifa Hospital who are at risk of dying at any moment. Palestinian mothers have unconditional love for their newborns just like you. A mother in Gaza named Awad said, "The doctor told me that there was water in her lungs and that she needed to be monitored. So I've been sleeping with her in the nursery." Amidst her people's genocide and ethnic cleansing, Awad still remains by her baby in NICU, just like you. Just like you, Palestinian mothers are lingering and waiting expectantly for their newborns in NICU. Just like you, mothers in Gaza have dreams and aspirations for their children they so lovingly held in their bellies for 9 months. Reham Ahmad al-Sadi had always dreamed of having a baby girl. And now, at 9 months pregnant, she is dealing with reality of giving birth in a war zone. She says, "The war destroyed my joy about pregnancy." You do not need to be Palestinian to understand the universal affection a mother has for her unborn baby and newborn. Everyone deserves the right to a safe birth, and borders or governments will never change this fact. I will finish with a poem by M. Barry. This morning I learned the English word Gaz comes from the Arabic word Gaza, because Gazans have been skilled weavers for centuries. I wondered then, how many of our wounds have been just because of them, and how many of theirs have been left open because of us.
At the end of the rally, many of the workers and people in the crowd put red on their hands and held them up to symbolize complicity of the Biden administration that has blood on its hands for what is being done to the people of Gaza. We'll have full video of the rally on our website. Search thestruggle.org. One sign that we brought as allies of the medical workers was end the war against Palestinian hospitals. Al-Shifa was demonized by Israel. Israel claims that the hospitals are centers of command for Hamas. In particular, that Al-Shifa was the command center for Hamas. Palestinian doctors in Gaza deny it. Dr. Mads Gilbert, a Norwegian doctor, said the charges are a lie. He's been in that hospital all over it. Nevertheless, Biden echoed and amplified the falsehood. And the army created an animation which they claim showed the entrances from within the hospital to the Gaza command center of Hamas, deep underground. So Al-Shifa Hospital was surrounded by Israeli forces, and then they raided it and occupied it. Not a single shot was fired against them within the hospital. Not even Israel claims that there was any fight within the hospital against them. Very curious that Hamas would let the approaches to its command center be taken without any kind of fight. It's been over 5 days and Israel has yet to show us the Hamas command center. They did show us a room with an MRI machine in it, behind which they said they found weapons. A bag of weapons, in which they displayed maybe a half dozen rifles and a number of grenades, which the IDF describes as countless weapons. On the 17th, they found what they said was a tunnel shaft underneath a large mound of sand. But they haven't entered it. They haven't dropped explosives down it. Very odd if you think this is the entrance to the Hamas command center. And this, which has been seen millions of times in Israel, a duty roster of Hamas guards by their names. Guards who are watching the hostages. Pretty convincing. Except France 24 investigated and found the Arabic words were not the names of people, but the days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, etc. It shows the absolute arrogance and contempt of Israeli propaganda. They don't even bother to make up stuff with people who know Arabic. It's all a lie. It's all a fraud. Israel has done this human shield shtick for decades to whip up fury among their troops so they will commit war crimes against hospitals. Now, after all these lies have been exposed, when the command center is nowhere to be found, do the Israelis and the U.S. administration backtrack or apologize, explain? No, they pretend everything they said was accurate and go on about things as they were. And it gets worse. Now Israel is commanding Al-Shifa Hospital to be emptied, and that the patients there and people taking care of them and the people on the grounds walk many miles away. You are a patient in a hospital, and since you somehow can walk, you are expelled and forced out. This is an outrage. And yet Biden has no criticisms of this abomination. And the corporate media in the U.S. and Israel, even the liberal paper Haaretz does the same. Here the New York Times hints that they might be seeing only what the Israeli army wants it to see. Yet it says about this command center, the Israelis don't have incontrovertible proof. That means there's a smidgen of doubt about the Israeli story. But we know that teeny tiny smidgen of doubt is large enough to drive through a Mack truck. Does this remind you of anything? Maybe Iraq in 2003, the search for the weapons of mass destruction, which went on for months and months, with the press predicting that any time now they would be found. Here's a nice gesture by the conquerors, responding to pictures of premature babies who had to be taken out of incubators. Israel claims it delivered incubators to Gaza. Very nice. Except Al-Shifa didn't need incubators. The doctors took the babies out of the perfectly working incubators because the hospital didn't have the electricity to run them. Here is some of an interview I did with a man named Anas, a Palestinian humanitarian worker. We somehow were able to communicate over Facebook Messenger. He was living with his family in a closed-up hospital in Gaza City.
They bombed my house. They bombed my education center. They bombed my wife, my home for wife family. Sorry, my wife family home. They killed my sister-in-law, and all of them not relation to any residents or not doing anything to Israel, but Israel punish all people in Gaza and killing them. That makes the situation here really dangerous and bad.
Let me stop you for a second. You're in Gaza City, is that right? Gaza City?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Gaza City. You know that Gaza City is like central of Gaza Strip.
Right.
Yeah.
Was anyone in your house when it was bombed?
My house in Gaza Strip, but it is between North and Gaza Strip. Sorry, it is between North Gaza and Gaza City.
And was anyone inside when the house was bombed?
What?
Was anyone in the house when it was bombed?
No. And when we feel that the situation will be hard and the tanks be near the area that I stay in, so we decide to leave and everyone go to another place. I was going to a place for some people I know, but I'm not feel comfortable in the home for my friends. So I decide to stay at hospital. It is, I think it will be safety place, but now no safety place. They also target the hospital.
A few days later, I was informed that the hospital had been bombed. Anas and his family escaped, but we've heard nothing about his whereabouts. In Waterbury, Connecticut, there was a rally on November 11th called Hands Off Gaza.
Killing children is a crime.
Killing children is a crime.
Bombing churches is a crime.
Bombing churches is a crime.
Bombing schools is a crime.
Bombing schools is a crime.
Bombing hospitals is a crime.
Bombing hospitals is a crime.
So free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
So free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Occupation no more.
Occupation no more.
5, 6, 7, 8.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Israel is a terrorist state.
Israel is a terrorist state.
So not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for Israel's crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime. No more money for Israel's crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for Israel's crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime. No more money for Israel's crimes.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
If we don't get it,
Shut it down!
if Gaza doesn't get it,
Shut it down!
if Palestine doesn't get it,
Shut it down!
shut it down, 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 shut it down. Louder!
Shut it down!
Louder!
Shut it down!
Louder!
Shut it down!
All right, next up, we have our union leader, Mustafa Salahuddin. It is unfortunate after 75 years that there can't be peace in that region, that the Palestinians don't have a Palestinian state. That was the issue then. That is still the issue now. One of the things they always talked about when I was in the police department, our motto was to serve and protect. To serve and protect. And this is not what America stands behind in its creeds. They have beautiful slogans, but they don't stand behind them. They don't. And it's far time that we make them. Emmett Till's mother said, the business of us, of one of us, should be the business of us all when we're afflicted. And I paraphrase that for this moment. I paraphrase this. As a unionist, it's about inclusion. We don't say you can't be a part of a union because of this, this, or that. It's about inclusion. And when someone takes your land, kills you to take your land, that land does not belong to them. It belonged to the one who was murdered. And when you can kill and then sit back and keep score of how many has been killed on your side and then on that side, what does that say about you? The killing of innocents on either side is a crime. When you kill, it's a crime if it's about killing the innocents. But they're keeping score of how many. But we know what this is all about. This is the chance to occupy the land in its entirety.
That's our program for today. There are demonstrations and actions happening every day, sometimes several in one day. Get involved. This is Stanley Heller for the Struggle Video News.